Hey guys, thanks for joining us at Family Shenanigan Art, Crafts, and Builds. Today we're making this fall fun Halloween trick-or-treat pillow. We hope you enjoy this video. If you do, can you hit that like button, maybe share it, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Thank you. So today we're using this I Love This yarn. It's a size 4 medium acrylic yarn, and it's just a yarn that we picked up at our local craft store, so any size 4 would work. And the color today is a burnt pumpkin, and it's a fun color for the fall. And today we're using the Audi 46 key machine, and we're just going to go ahead and set that to 0. And then I'm just going to use this cotton yarn that I have as my salvage yarn. And then I'm going to go ahead and start by placing the yarn in front of the first black key here. And then you're going to go behind the second black key, and then in front of the third black key, and then behind the white key, and then in front of that one, and then behind the other one, and now back in front. And we're just going to continue that pattern all the way around until we get to the end. And you should finish off with the white key with the yarn going behind the last white key. And then after you've cast on, you'll go 5 rows, and then we'll come back and we'll put the burnt pumpkin on. And now that we've gone our 5 rows, we're just going to go ahead and snip this salvage yarn here, and it's going to go right between the white and the black key there. And then now we're going to add the burnt pumpkin, but we want to leave a long tail for sewing later. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do 180 rows of the burnt pumpkin. And since we already went 5, that means we will be going to the 185th row before we change back to the salvage yarn. And now that we've gone 185 rows total, including our salvage yarn, we're going to go ahead and, leaving a long tail again for sewing in later, we're going to go ahead and put that burnt pumpkin between the white and the black key there. And then we're going to go back and add our salvage yarn. And then we will be going another 5 rows with the salvage yarn for a total of 190. And now that we've gone 190 rows, we're going to go ahead and cut our salvage yarn. And then this is like the fun part where you kind of just move it between the keys here. And then you just turn it and the machine does all the work. It takes all the yarn off the spools for you. It's kind of one of my favorite things about doing the hand sewing yourself. And now that we have our swath, I'm just going to show you really quickly how we sew this in. We're working on the side where the yarn begins and kind of ends here with the salvage and the burnt pumpkin. And we're just going to go in this first loop here, and then directly on the other side, we're going to pick up a loop, and then we're going to use our burnt pumpkin yarn to just go ahead and yarn over, and then we'll pull through those loops. And then working in the next loop over here, we're going to just pick up the burnt pumpkin loop here, and then straight across we pick up one, and then we yarn over and pull through. And then we just keep working the same way all the way down. We're going to go into the next burnt pumpkin loop here, and then the one directly across, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops. And we're just going to continue to work this same pattern until we get to the end. And when you get to the last stitch, you're just going to go ahead and pull through all the way. And we're just going to go ahead and sew both sides. And then when we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and make 2 more of the exact same swaths. And then we'll meet you guys back when we have 3 swaths done. And this is what our swaths look like, all done. All the ends are sewn in. And now we're going to go ahead and sew them together. So I've already got the 2 here together, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how I sew them together. Using a long needle, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look here for this edge row here, this perfectly stitched edge row here. And then going up underneath it, there's these little bars. They're kind of down underneath that perfect edge there. And those are the bars that we're going to be working into as we sew. So we're not going to be working in that top part. We're going to be looking for the bars on the side of that edge nicely knitted row. And we're going to go ahead and find one of the first bars here. And then we're going to pull through all the way until we get to like a nice little end tail here that we're going to leave for sewing in later. And we're not going to knot it or anything like that now. We'll come back later and do that. And then on this other one here, the same thing. We're not working in that knitted row there in the front, but on the bar on the side. And we're just going to go ahead and pull through there. And then looking here on the side again, I'm going to grab 2 bars. 1, 2, and then I'm going to pull the yarn through. And then I used to get confused about this part. I thought you were supposed to go to like the next ones, but you actually go back down and you grab the bars down where you last left off on that side and you pull through 2. And this is like the invisible stitch basically. And so then again, looking for the bars on the side, you grab the 2 here. And then you pull the yarn through. And then working that same pattern, we're going to go back to the other side, grab the 2 bars, and then pull through. And then again, just working in the bars, finding the bars again, we're going to grab 2, and then we're going to pull through. And we're going to go ahead and grab a couple more bars here. And then now that we've gone a few stitches, we're going to go ahead and just kind of pull it. And that just goes ahead and closes it together. And you're just going to continue that stitch all the way until the end. And this is what it looks like all sewed up together. And we are going to be only working with the 1/2 side. So we're just going to go ahead and fold it over and have it like folded over. And you can see how well all the lines came together and it looks really good. So for the lettering, we're going to go ahead using this air erase marker. And we're going to kind of look for, we want to go like 4 inches over and like 4 inches down for our first letter. And that's like going to be like the center of our T. And then the reason we folded this over, we have like the knitted rows going up and down. So that way when we sew later, we can kind of follow those knitted rows. So we're going to be going down about 3 1/4 inches, and that's going to be our long line for the T. And then we're going about from the 0 to the 2 inch. So it's 2 inches all together across for the top of the T. And then you'll just kind of follow that same pattern. It's 4 inches from the top. And then now you're working on the R, and you're going to look for the knitted row so that you know, like, have a straight line there. And then we're going to go about 2 inches over, and then that's where the R is going to end. And we're just going to keep going, just kind of using our air erase pen here. And you can use, like, I think they have water pens too, is whatever you want to use to kind of make our outlines for our different letters. And we're always going to be like 4 inches from the top and then moving down. And then you'll kind of follow that same pattern, like the center, the O and the R are about 9 inches down. And then from there, you'll do the same thing for the word treat. And for the writing, we're just using a basic embroidery stitch. And so just going in through the back here and the knitted rows, and we have them going up and down so that like it's easier to see the knitted rows as you knit and work. We're just going to go ahead and pull through, leaving like a long tail there. And then we're going to just kind of go in with our needle, and we're going to grab like one little row there of the knitted stitches, and then pulling our needle through, we're going to make a loop and then pull the needle through that loop there. And then you can see it kind of looks like a knitted stitch almost. And then sometimes you just kind of have to like pull it and maneuver that first one there down. And then now we're going to go to make our next second one. We're going to go in right beside that last point where we pulled up there on the stitch. And we're going to grab a few of the little bars there. And we're going to just go ahead and pull our needle through the loop here. And some people kind of loop over, but I like to just go ahead and have the loop and just kind of move my needle through the loop as I work. So I'm just going to go back through where we did our last stitch through, grab some of the bars there of the knitted row, and then again we have a loop that we're pulling up through. And we just kind of pull that and we work along as we go on each stitch. And we're using this I Love This yarn, this black color here, and that was for the writing, and we're also using it for the pillow border, and it's just a size 4 medium weight acrylic. And we're gonna go ahead, starting with a 5mm crochet hook, we're gonna make a loop, and then we're gonna go ahead and draw the string through that loop. So we're gonna go ahead and cast on here. And then we're going to be making single crochets throughout the whole border. And so going in the first 2 here on the side, all the way on both sides, we're going to yarn over, and then we're going to pull through, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through 2. And then going in the next 2 loops on both sides, that's 1 knitted row of each, we're going to yarn over, pull through. And then we're going to go ahead and go through the 2 sides here. And we're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're just going to continue making these single crochets all the way down along the side. And then we're going to get to the folded side, and I'm going to show you how we did that side. Now that we've finished the whole side here, I just want to tell you that we do 2 single crochets in the corner there. And then now, and this one, we're going to do something a little bit different, because if you do too many stitches on the bottom, it starts to like pull. So you see these rows that are going straight down. What we're going to do is we're going to go in the one in between the 2 rows there, and we're going to single crochet. So then we're going to skip kind of a line there, and then we're going to go into the second line there. And then we're going to single crochet. And then again, we're going to kind of skip the line there, and then we're going to go in the second one there, and then single crochet. We made our pillow to be the size of an 18 by 18 pillow insert, and we just picked up ours. I think it was like a pack of 4 at Amazon, and I know they sell them at pretty much any craft store. And so once we had single crocheted the 3 sides together, we inserted the pillow, and then we closed it up. And once we had closed up our pillow with the single crochets, we're going to go ahead and we're going to just kind of slip stitch the 2 together at the end. And then now we're going to go ahead and we're going to make double crochets. So we yarned over, and then going 2 stitches over, we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that's 1 double crochet. And now going back in that stitch, we're going to do a second double crochet. And this is just called a scallop stitch for the outer edge. We're doing is a scallop stitch, and you're going to go ahead, that was our 3rd one, and this is a 4th double crochet, and we're just going to double crochet for a total of 5 stitches. And then we're going to skip a stitch, and in the second stitch, we're going to go ahead and just do a slip stitch. And then you're going to kind of repeat that pattern, skipping a stitch there. In the second stitch, we're going to double crochet for 5, and we're going to follow that scallop stitch all the way around. We hope you enjoyed this video. We hope it inspires you to go out and make a fun fall Halloween pillow for yourself. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and a share, and we thank you and appreciate all the wonderful comments you give.